Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lordo here with another installment / episode of our favorite Wise Up podcast. I'm with my co-host, Matthew Topper. Matthew, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well. How about you? Although there is one small issue. There's some construction outside, which meant I cannot get my Dunkin' Donuts before the podcast.
I would say I'm sorry, my condolences, but it's Dunkin' and it's a horrible coffee. But anyway, so congratulations on moving away from it. Anyway, so for people that are watching this for the first time, Matt, what is this Wise Up podcast all about?
So Wise Up Podcast is a way to talk about people who have good life experiences, good business experiences, and just come away with something that you can use to do something in your life and business. Just get value out of it, right? We want to hear stories, but we really want to hear actionable utility insights, things that you can really take away and put into practice in some way. And that doesn't have to be about tech or IT or business, just things that have been successful or unsuccessful for other people in the industry.
Perfect. I think one of the good takeaways that we've seen over the last umpteen episodes is it's never in the actual first question. It's usually really good advice that's built into the conversation somehow. That once we get the juices flowing.
Yeah. So if our listeners couldn't tell, there are definitely not scripted questions here, right? We start off with something and just see where the conversation goes. And I think that works far better than a list of interview questions.
Absolutely. And I right. It's a genuine conversation, which I've always found pulled out really good information, especially at the bar during a conference. Having a drink and having a real good conversation leads to so much more information that you didn't realize.
Yeah, for sure. You're just talking about stuff, about real things.
Absolutely. So, well, we want to get to our guests today because we're not here to talk to each other because we do enough of that together as it is already. So why don't we bring on our guests today? We actually typically have one guest on a time, but this time we did two because they are always locked at the hip at every event. And actually I had the privilege of meeting them a couple years ago, and they're new on the scene as far as a startup vendor and part of the 2025 Pitch It competition cohort. So without further ado, let's bring on Mike Zbarsky and Jared Casner from Blacksmith Infosec.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Matt.
How's it going today?
Hey, guys.
How are we all doing?
Great.
Good.
So this should be our
Sean, before you start, I got to say, there's something a little bit ironic of you being the one hosting a podcast about life advice, right?
Yeah, Jared, you're right. I've lived a long life and I'm definitely the right person for the job. I'm experienced.
There you go.
We did say part of the advice of things not to do.
So anyway, let's just talk to Mike this whole time. Mike, good seeing you. So much better seeing you. So how are you all doing today?
We're doing really well. Super excited for IT Nation Secure. We're actually flying in early. So right after this, we're finalizing packing, etc. And we're actually flying in on Saturday to spend some time. Jared and I are opposite coasts. He's in San Francisco. I'm in DC. So we're going to use the opportunity to spend a couple extra days together, do some heads down work. So looking forward to it.
That's awesome. So
nice.
And for people that don't know who you are, what you do exactly, let's quickly talk about what is Blacksmith Infosec.
Yeah. So Blacksmith Infosec was born out of really our needs. Jared and I have both run security programs at small and medium businesses, trying to get them to compliance. And it has been very frustrating in our early career because there's a lot of enterprise solutions, but not a lot of solutions that are actually affordable at the SMB level. And so that's really what we set out to create, was something that is affordable for an SMB that an MSP can leverage to deliver those services to their clients. And then basically use that to leverage to build trust with their clients, to find out what the client cares about and what their risks are, and then figure out how they can come in and help with those clients and really have those risk-based conversations with their clients.
Perfect.
I always kind of wondered this. How'd you come up with the name Blacksmith?
ChatGPT. How does anybody come up with anything anymore?
So Go ahead, Jared.
I would say Mike and I have known each other for I don't know 30 some years at this point. We grew up together. We've been friends for a long time. We a lot of our formative years were playing Dungeons and Dragons together in middle school and high school. And so as we were kind of shooting ideas back and forth, it was like, all right, well, we're definitely on the defensive side of security, so it's got to be something Shields related. Well, how many Shield companies are out there that like every one of them, right? And so, all right, well, actually, we're not the ones with the Shield, or like we're not holding the Shield for you. We're teaching you how to build the Shield. All right, so if we're going to build the Shield, Blacksmith, right? So, but it was honestly, it was a lot of work with ChatGPT and then going from ChatGPT to lists of domain names that were available and affordable, and saying, all right, cool, like we can afford that one. Blacksmith.com was really expensive, and so let's add the Infosec, and then now we can afford it. So this is perfect, right?
That's brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
I think the first lesson anybody watching this is learning is how to find the right name. Make sure you base off of one thing is what do you actually accomplish and how do you maintain uniqueness, and the other is how do you afford it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's always DNS, right?
Perfect.
Nice.
So you went through the list of figuring this out. Blacksmith, Infosec came about, which I think is it's a cool name actually, and it's actually very gimmicky. What you guys do, you guys are very gimmicky people, which I love.
We are,
but it's good gimmicky.
Who comes
Build
up
the
with
shield makes a lot of sense. I really like that.
Like we
yeah,
have zero standards, so yeah. I don't know if it's good gimmicky all the time, but like the name maybe good gimmicky was our shtick. Maybe less it's good gimmicky. We have fun with it.
Well, it depends. Who comes up with the ideas for the events when you go? Who's the creative person between the two of you?
ChatGPT. No, it's it's a lot of it is just us. Like a lot of our mutual friends don't like it when we're together because we riff off each other, and so one of us will start giving someone a hard time, and the second one builds off of it, and it kind of spirals very quickly. But that makes really good for coming up with what gimmicky thing to do, as we sit there and just toss stuff back and forth and just go down the rabbit hole. So a lot of it is that. You're gonna love some of our new stuff for this conference, Sean. I can't wait for you to see it.
I love gimmicky stuff.
It sounds like I won't like it then.
It's a problem.
There was also like a momentary look of fear on your face as Mike was talking about that. Like, oh God, what are they going to do to my show?
Well, I wonder. We all wonder, right? And it's okay. But I love the anticipation of a potential shit show. So yeah. I'm geek. Matt will be more nervous than me ultimately.
I will say, Sean, we did shoot down the idea, and we didn't even run it by you guys. But the idea was floated to have an actual blacksmith with a furnace at our booth, just like
that would not go over well.
Yeah. Can we brand and we can brand people? I feel like, right?
Exactly, perfect.
Thread the tattoos. Why not thread the tattoos? Last couple of years. Let's just surpass them and brand people.
So you laugh. We actually have a blacksmith brand that we bought because when we got the leather aprons, we wanted to brand those, and so we actually have a Blacksmith Infosec brand.
Oh my God, it's a bad idea.
I'm suddenly feeling very nervous about the next few days.
It's going to be fun.
I told you. So you mentioned you guys did this out of necessity is why you built the brand. So you guys were not entrepreneurs prior to this company?
I've been at startups for more than 15 years. And so I've been kind of in the entrepreneurial space for a long time, and have always sort of wanted to build a business. And so it was sort of waiting for the right opportunity and waiting for the right idea. Like as life would have it, Mike and I both were looking for work at the same time about 2 years ago and going through the interview processes with a bunch of different companies and commiserating over just how much it sucks to find a job. And then on top of that, hey, what are you going to do when you start your next job? Every one of these companies wants me to build a security program. How many times have you done that? Way too many to count. All right. Why don't we just now we know we both are facing the same problem. We're both going to go into the state, like, let's go out and build something. This is a good time in our lives. Let's go out and give it a shot. And so here we are almost 2 years later, having the time of our lives. our wives put up with us, and so this is great.
I
So-
agree with poor wives. Anyway.
What made you though actually say, like, what was it like to say, hey, let's dive in and try this? I myself have found myself in that I need to build yet another security program position, right? I've done it a million times. What made you say, like, let's actually give this a shot? That's a pretty big direction change.
Yeah. So really, it was very selfish of us because as we were realizing this, this started kind of with, let's build something so that when we start this next position, we have something that we can use to actually run the security program, because all these other tools are not affordable for the SMB. There's a bunch of tools. They're claim to be GRC tools, and they're SMB friendly, but they're in the $10,000 to $90,000 range, and SMBs just can't afford that. And so we really built it for ourselves originally to say, hey, what do we want and what do we need to run a security program at the SMB? And then we tried to validate it with a couple friends, and they were like, oh, this is really cool, but can I buy it for our company? I was like, oh, well. And it's how we
that's validation though, right?
Yeah.
How much
Validation.
money
I mean,
can I give you money for this is definitely validation, right? And like we sort of joked that we were like Liam Neeson a couple of years ago. We had a very particular set of skills, and so like through a whole series of poor life choices, we ended up with this like very particular set of skills. So we went out and built something, and to Mike's point, then we had people asking us to pay for it, and then they started to use it, and they were like, oh, this is really cool. How do I do X, Y, and Z? Well, have your IT team do that. Okay, well, my IT team is my MSP. And we said, oh, cool. Like, give it to your MSP then. And the MSPs started looking at it and saying, oh, this is really cool. How do I do this for the rest of my clients? And we were like, oh, now, the light bulb moment. Like, let's go into the channel. Let's figure out what the channel is. Let's figure out how to spell. We had to learn how to spell MSP and how to spell channel. We started showing up to events and fortunately talking our way past the gatekeepers who didn't want vendors to be there without paying for sponsorship. And we went like all in on the channel a little over a year ago and sneaking our way into conferences just to ask questions and learn for 6 months before we finally said, all right, now we're ready to sponsor. And so we had our coming out party at IT Nation Connect last fall. And now we'll be at IT Nation Secure next week. And it's like snowballing from here.
So you didn't know what an MSP was before this?
We've worked with MSPs, but we didn't know what the channel, what that beast was, right? Like we've been at
Sure.
companies that use MSPs, but like how they actually operate and what the beast of the channel is, like no clue.
Did your opinion or notion of what an MSP or like thoughts about them change from just working with them as a customer to working with them as like customers of yours?
Yes. Well, so let me. I'm going to answer for me first because my answer is different than Mike's. Right. So just so we're clear, my opinion or an understanding of it definitely changed. Right. I have worked for a lot of I'll call them very frugal founders over the years who were using MSPs that were really more trunk slammers, and you get what you pay for, right? And so when you're paying for the lowest possible cost of service and you're only doing hourly and break fix, you're going to get what you pay for. And so my impression and opinion of MSPs was like, oh, it's just an outsourced IT vendor. And like, I sort of knew what they were, but didn't really know what they were and how the model could work and could be successful because I had been working for such frugal founders and owners. And so that was like, I got introduced to this and said, holy cow, this is an amazing place to be. And like, felt like coming home and was like my people. But yeah, let me shut up and Mike, you can talk because your experience is different than my experience.
Yeah. So I'm coming at this from a little bit different experience where I was vCISOing for a number of years. So as part of the vCISOing, the company I was working for did vCISO services and executive IT services. So the company in general would come in, they'd act as the like CIO, CTO, vCISO of this SMB, And so we partnered with MSPs a lot. And a lot of it was kind of managing what the MSP was doing. And there were some really good MSPs that we worked with and some questionable MSPs, we'll call it. A lot of it, kind of going back to Jared's thing, is one of the things we always did was we evaluated the MSP to say, hey, are they doing a good job for you? And for me, it was always let's start with the client. Like, what are you paying for? Because I'm not going to judge the MSP based on the fact that they aren't doing kind of road mapping and all the stuff for you if you're paying them for break fix. Like, that doesn't make sense, right? And so I actually developed a lot of really good relationships with a bunch of really good MSPs. They were some of our first partners on the platform. And I've been really happy with them. And again, like, it's every once in a while you just hit an MSP that is just like trying to do the bare minimum. And we've had to respond to breaches that were caused by MSPs before, not now, but previous life. And just MSPs making poor life choices in how they configure things, etc.
So that we can go easily to go down the path of the MSSP conversation, right? It's such
let's not do that.
like you teed it off for this. Yeah, you teed it off for that, right? Now we watched MSPs, we watched VARs become MSPs, and then we watched MSPs pretend like they could add another S on because they bought some sort of utility or hardware, right?
Yeah. And
even to this day, I mean, it's subsided a bit. It's not quite as like there was a rush, right? There was like everybody was like, we're security, and then they realized it's not the same thing. So how do you guys educate an MSP, or how do you prepare them or set expectation or whatever to make them make a decision almost to say, okay, I'm not, or I can be, and this is how?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've taken a few different approaches.
Jared, do you want to go first?
Sorry, I think we've taken a few different approaches here. Like, the first one is we've actually launched our own like webinar podcast series. We're called Get NIST, where we are very much focused on educating the market of here's what it means to be a VCIO, a VCISO, and provide these services into your clients, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to put that extra S in there, there's much more to security than just checking a box or turning on EDR, XDR, MDR, whatever the blank DR solution is for the day, right? It's not just SOC SIM services, right? There's so much more that goes on in there, and it's really about risk mitigation, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't prevent 100% of breaches. What you can do is reduce risk and make the company more resilient to incidents when they do happen, right? And so how do you become that trusted partner? You have to start building that relationship very early. And so, like I said, we started with the podcast series, and that's starting to gain some traction here. We've had some really good guests on and have some cool stuff coming up with the Pitch It cohort over the summer. We're producing just a ton of blog content. We're getting involved in the MSP community on Reddit and the Discord channels, and there's Facebook groups, and like there's a million different ways to reach MSPs. What we're finding is actually like MSPs are very smart, and they go where their customers are. Their customers are on Facebook, not on LinkedIn, right? And so we went into this with this mindset of like, hey, we have to be really active on LinkedIn, and sure, we do that because like we're sort of expected to be, but like MSPs are very smartly going where their customers are, which is Facebook. And so to dust off my Facebook, I hadn't logged into Facebook in 8 years, and I had to log into Facebook again, and like figure out how to get back into my account and start posting and stuff, right? So it's relearning how to use social media in ways that we hadn't been doing before, but it's really producing as much educational content as possible, because at the end of the day, like, yes, selfishly, I'd love people to buy our software, but more importantly, I want the market to be better and better suited at lifting their customers up and making people more secure and trying to get back in front of the threat actors.
Yeah.
You guys both. Oh, go ahead.
No, the only thing I would add is the other thing we keep stressing with our partners and just on the podcast all the time is kind of how they engage with their clients, right? A lot of them are still going to like QBRs, and every time I talk to anyone, I'll say this, but every time they go into a QBR and they're like, we hate doing QBRs, the clients don't care. We're pulling all these statistics for them. We're like, go into the QBR, instead of telling them what you're doing, ask them what they're doing in the next quarter and have that conversation. And then you can align technology to that. You can align security to that, but find out from them what they're doing. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, nobody cares about the tickets.
Right.
We resolved X amount of
Yeah.
tickets. They don't care.
Yep.
There's no value in that. There was value when they submitted the ticket, but a week later, the pain is gone.
Yep. Yeah, they don't care how fast you're resolving the tickets. At least 3 months later, they care about it in the moment. But 3 months later, they don't care that your average resolution time was 7 minutes. What they care about is the one ticket that's impacting their business today, and how long does that one ticket take, right? And so if the unfortunate one ticket is 3 days because of whatever else is going on in the world, and it may have nothing to do with you as the MSP, like that's what's going to stick in their memory, not the fact that you resolved everything else in 34 seconds, right? What they do care about is, hey, Mike or Sean really understands my business, and they're helping me be successful. Cool. Here's where I want to go in the next quarter. Okay, great. Here's what we're going to do to help you get there, and then we'll report back on those specific things that you asked about. Like, who cares about the ticket times, right? Because and your customers will stop caring about the ticket times if you are being that strategic partner that's helping them build their business and sell more. Hey, your website is slow. Cool. We can help you with improve performance of that, and let's put some new technologies in place that will help improve the performance and the conversion times and things. Right? Be that trusted strategic partner, and that's what's really going to give you the value. It's what's going to make your customer stickier. It's what's going to allow you to, when it comes time for renewals and you need to charge more, because guess what, your employees cost more. All of those things, your stack is bigger, right? Like that's what's going to give you the ability to charge more and not just be competing on price.
You guys have both built security programs, and one thing that I found challenging when talking to both MSPs and individual businesses about this is the idea that whatever framework you're trying to adhere to, yes, like adhering to it is part of a goal of a security program, but it's not the security program in itself. Do you have trouble with either MSPs or their clients trying to break that mindset? And how do you approach it when that comes up?
Can you see Mike like lips here? He's like,
no. I think the way to do that is, or the way we build the platform to do that really is to enable those conversations, right? So on our platform, basically, you start with the policies, you get the compliance roadmap, like, hey, here's all the stuff you need to do. But we actually mirror all of that onto the risk register, and they're not going to do all of it. And that's fine, right? But then they can just go through and talk about the risks, and they can add other organizational risks. But they can talk about, hey, what are the risks concerning not turning on MFA, because it's 2025 and MSPs are still having those conversations with clients, which just baffles my mind. Or what are the risks of not allowing flash drives to be plugged into your laptops, right? Because the sales department refuses to use cloud storage because it's sales. I can pick any department you want. what are the risks around giving people local admin rights because the developers won't shut up and they always want local admin rights? Yeah. And so, but you can have that risk-based conversation and then figure out what you're going to do, right? My view as a security practitioner has always been, my job is not to secure the organization. My job is to make sure the organization is going into stuff eyes wide open, right? And so it is, here's what we should do. Here's the risks of not doing it. And if you still want to not do it, that's fine. I will work with you to put mitigations in place to minimize that risk. But my job is for the organization to not be blindsided. And that's really what we want MSPs from an IT standpoint, security perspective, et cetera, to have those conversations with their clients to say, hey, sure, I know that putting in the new EDR or MDR or whatever antivirus platform is going to cost a little bit more. Here's the risks of not doing it. Right now, you're not doing any security awareness training. Here's the risks. Let's have that conversation. Let's make sure you're aware. Yep. But that's really the way we try to have them talk about it.
The other thing that we do is we talk about security being or compliance being a journey, not a destination, right? Sure, there's SOC 2, ISO, CMMC, some of these things have destinations or milestones along the way of the attestation, the third party, the C3PO, somebody coming along and attesting to the fact that you have completed or have evidence of compliance over the past review period. But it doesn't stop once that attestation happens, right? There's still ongoing work and maintenance and care and feeding of the program that needs to happen. So it's like it's really about the journey, not about the destination. And the sooner you start investing in that, the lower the total cost of ownership is going to be, right? And so we use the 401k or IRA. Like if you think about your retirement, right? If you wait until you're 60 to start investing in your retirement, you're going to be putting a lot of money into that retirement account, trying to retire on time. Excuse me. You start when you're 25. You start when your business is young. The total cost of ownership goes way down, right? You put little bits at a time. You start tracking that progress. You start building the muscle memory. You start incorporating security and compliance into your DNA as an organization. Number one, it's going to help you, right? There's a reason why EOS is so popular amongst MSPs. There's a reason why policies and procedures are so popular with MSPs to kind of codify and streamline things. Security and compliance is the same thing. It's those frameworks, NIST, CIS, whatever. You pick your framework. They are giving you the tools to help you be more strategic and impactful with the investments you're making in terms of your security and your compliance. And so start investing now. Don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to do everything on day one, unless you absolutely have to for whatever reason. But don't try to boil the ocean and do everything on day one. Start small. Make that investment slowly over time, and your total cost of ownership is going to go way down. And you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to have a lot less change management and change fatigue and things like that, right? It's like make your life easier.
So I got to highlight something here. When I met you guys a couple years ago, you were kind of stumbling over yourselves, trying to figure out what the hell you were saying, right? Which is normal, by the way. To be honest, Mike was better than you, Jared, but by far.
He always is. Yeah. He's better looking. He's more eloquent.
So I want to come full circle in this. You're security guys, not really known for being very social people. They're not ever extroverted. We all know that to be fact, right? Sometimes a little bit grumpy. Let's use Jason Slagle, grumpy as hell all the time, right? He's an example of something like that, right? But you guys are far more polishing your approach now speaking. So how did you guys end up getting comfortable, starting your own business like we were talking about, right? That's a big deal. You were in the entrepreneurial space, but you weren't really the guy yet, right? And so I get how it's an evolution. But how did you get from that to now when you guys speak about things? You are far more polished and your approach is better. And you guys are out there doing things. So, and I'm saying it specifically because people that watch this that are not sure about making this move because they can't do those parts, they can make the greatest product or solution, but they don't want to get out there. They're afraid of it. How did you guys break the ice on that? I'll start with Mike, Jared, so that way we can make you look worse.
It's a smart move, yeah.
Yeah. So the short answer is you force yourself, right? You do it the first 100 times is going to be hard, and then it gets easier and easier and easier. Jared's still better at it than I am. That's why for a lot of this front-facing stuff, usually, even though he's worse at everything than me, he ends up doing that stuff. But no, a lot of it, again, is just practice, right? Like with anything else, getting out of the comfort zone. Last year at IT Nation Connect, we ended up like rapping on stage like morons, but it brought people to our booth and laughing at us, and we're like, cool, yeah, go ahead and laugh at us and talk to us, right? And it's really just a question of, like anything else, practice.
Yep.
Do you have any, aside from practice, do you have like a reference of any sort to like book, speaker, anything, or was it just based off of just brute force trauma?
Yeah, no, I think it's our lack of care of making fools of ourselves that's very helpful in that aspect. I'll let Jared talk about books and stuff, but really we don't care about acting like jackasses. So
yeah. Good, Jared. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wish I had a book that somebody could read. I'll second Mike on the practice. What we talk about a lot also is finding great friends. Right? Everybody has good friends that'll tell you how amazing you are. Well, you need a great friends that'll tell you that you have spinach in your teeth. And when you do things, go out and ask for the feedback from those great friends who are willing to tell you, hey, Jared, you did really well on this part, but you stumbled over your words there. You paused, you had filler words, right? Somebody who's willing to be that great friend that will tell you when you fucked up and help you get better and help you figure out what ways to change and adopt a different approach. And then you try those things out and you see what works, and you sit in front of a mirror, and it gets uncomfortable. David Brown came and talked to the Pitch It cohort a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things he talked about was recording yourself and listening to yourself, because guess what? You will hear those same things. We are our own biggest critics. And if you actually record yourself, if you take the time to go back and listen to yourself, guess what? You will learn so much, because you will be your best friend, because you will beat yourself up like you would not believe. Now, the trick is, from my perspective, figuring out, all right, I'm done beating myself up. Now I'm going to go out and try something new, right? And I'm going to put myself back out there, and I'm going to be willing to make a fool out of myself. And I'm going to be willing to have somebody come up to me after, if I'm on stage speaking, I'm going to be willing to have somebody come up to me on stage and say, hey, when you said X, you were wrong. Oh, cool. Educate me. Let's have a conversation, and be willing to be wrong, and be willing to put yourself out there. Because guess what? So many people aren't willing to put themselves out there. And so, yeah, not everything I say is going to be right. That's okay. But I also have to be willing to challenge my own assumptions and challenge my own beliefs, and learn from the folks around me.
And I will also say, other than those great friends, is find people who are happy not being blunt with you, and not just trying to appease you, even if they're not friends. I remember last year when we met you, Sean. It was IT Nation Secure, and we came up for like, hey, like we applied to pitch it, you didn't accept us. Like we get it. Like we applied last day, and that was accepting, and like you have no clue who we are. And you actually turned to us and like, yeah, I remember the application. I didn't know who you are, but here's like the stuff you guys didn't get right in the application. And like, it would have been a lot easier for you to say, yeah, nice to meet you, and move on with your life. But you actually took the time to, and I don't want to feed your ego, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, keep beating. It's feeling good. Keep going. You're doing great, Mike.
No, we're good. No, but getting that honest feedback is super helpful from people.
Don't worry, we'll reset Sean's ego.
Matt's happy to do that on a regular basis. No, but I'll tie that up into one bow, one pretty bow as far as I'm concerned, because I think, like you said, that perfection is the enemy of good. We know that, right? And so people just constantly live off of what ifs, which is why people don't ever dare to go, right? Being bold requires a level of ignorance, right? Like you have to just say, forget it, and throw caution to the wind. But then to your point though, I mean, I was willing to talk to you guys because you were willing to come ask me stuff. Like I don't ever, it's almost like if you ever had a mentee, I won't take a mentee on that's not asking me, right? I'm not looking for mentees. They should be looking for a mentor, right? And in order to be a mentee, I want you to be annoying to some degree. I want you to be persistent in getting the answers you want to succeed, because I don't want to have to think for you. Just ask. I can answer what I know. I'm not going to think. If I start thinking for you, we have a problem, right? So I think every one of us, and this is also how I hire people too, by the way. I hire on character, not talent. You know, I can teach you to do some things, but if your character is poor, if you're not annoyingly, aggressively trying to be successful, I don't want you in my world.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I talk about that all the time
I digress.
Yeah, when I'm advising, and I advise a lot of startups, especially around hiring and engineers, and they're like, well, how do I get that mythical 10x engineer? Well, don't worry about the mythical 10x engineer, because when you find the person with the right personality, they will be a 10x engineer, because they will be the force multiplier that helps lift everybody up around them. What you're looking for is the person who you can work with easily, who's going to be a good cohesive member of the team, because by the time if they get to you and they're an asshole, like their mom failed them, there's not a whole lot you can do to make them a nice person, right? If they're a good engineer, you can make them a great engineer. You can teach them those hard skills. You can help build them up, and you can coach them and train them on the hard skills. But the soft skills, those are really hard to train and coach in a professional environment. It is doable, right? So there's always the exceptions that prove the rule, but it's like, don't hire assholes. That's the number one.
It's not. You know what? Unless you're paying me child support, I'm not raising your child.
Even then might not be a good idea.
Yeah.
So we have time for one more question, and we always ask the same question to basically everyone who comes on the show, and I want to ask it in this way. You guys are very similar to a lot of people who have started businesses in this space, right? Your engineering people, your security people who decided to start your own company. So in the form of a habit, right, something you should start doing or stop doing, what's some advice you would give to someone who's thinking about making that jump, thinking about going into business themselves, who might be on the technical or engineering side today?
Jared, you
Mike,
want to go first?
I can go first. I'll go
This is
first.
why we share our brains, so it's a problem.
Yeah.
Collectively, what's one piece of advice?
So I think one of the biggest things as engineers, it's really easy for us to get like distracted by the shiny object and chase after things, right? Sean talked about perfection being the enemy of the good enough, right? It's really hard as an engineer to want to ship a product that's not perfect or perfectly polished. It's really hard as an engineer to maintain the discipline and the focus to finish a thing and move on to right. We want so much to kind of wait until the entire platform is done, or oh, hey, there's this new AI thing. Well, cool. How do I get AI into my right? And it's so easy to get distracted by all of those different things that are going on. And so the biggest piece of advice is stay focused, understand where you're going, be willing to adapt along the way, right? But like you have to be focused, otherwise you'll never get anything out. And be willing to accept that perfection is the enemy of good enough. And when you have something that's good enough, get it out there, get feedback, find those great friends who are going to be willing to give you that advice and that feedback. And just like I need help with my public speaking, my product needs help with its polish and persona, right? And so like, how do I get that good feedback? I find the great friends that are willing to say, ooh, I don't like that, and help figure out how to make it better.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is, as I was just growing in my career, one of the best pieces of feedback that I got from a CIO that I was reporting into was, Mike, I know you're an IT guy at heart, but you're a manager now. And so if you're in the weeds, changing firewalls, doing et cetera, you're not doing what you need to be doing. And we have the same conversations with Jared now. It's like when we get stuck, we default to our nature, whether it's, security, development, and we're like we get stuck in marketing or accounting or something else, and we default to, cool, let's go write some more code, or let's go. And it's like, no, like we need to be figuring this out and dealing with this. So kind of pulling yourself out of the weeds of what you're comfortable with and actually getting the stuff done that you need to get done.
I love that. I totally agree with that. All right. Well, that's all we have time for today, right, Matthew?
It is. We could have gone deeper on a lot of these, but we are out of time.
Oh God.
Well, we can go deeper at the bar next week.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, probably a good idea is you should be bringing me and Matt onto your podcast, I would think.
Yep.
Yes, we would love to do that. Yeah, we'll get you guys scheduled in the near future.
Continue the conversation. That way you can interview us instead.
There we go. We will absolutely take you up on that.
Yes.
And yeah.
Actually, that'd be a great podcast. That'd be a great conversation because Matt will always go to the tech part and I'll always go to the that'll always be the conversation. So I think it'd be great. So, but that's enough of that for right now. We got to get rolling. Thank you both, Jared and Mike, for being part of this and taking time seriously. Looking forward to seeing you guys at Secure. And good luck this year on Pitch It and just genuine shenanigans, I guess. And for those that are watching, thank you for taking time to watch this. We will be back with another episode. They come out every couple weeks, so we're pretty much game for everything. So if you have anybody you want to see come on here, that'd be profound. We'd love to hear about that. Until then, thank you all, and we'll see you all later.
Thanks for having us.